There was a bird on the neighbor's roof outside the window. It seemed unbothered by the rain, searching for worms. A different type of bird than the one I wrote about before. I continued to read back the old manuscript that I printed. I was critical of most of what I read. I could see that I was hiding from telling the truth of what was going on, because I was afraid of showing myself. But eventually, with each page, it was inevitable, and I began to write better. It was a matter of wearing myself down. I went downstairs to eat a sandwich that Miriam made me. As I ate, I continued to write on my phone. Miriam asked me what I was writing. I told her I didn't know. I was writing the usual things. I was writing about how I wanted to write something more clear in this chapter than I had in the last one. We went to the thrift store. I bought a yellow plastic paper holder thing to fit my manuscript in. There were some books I was interested in, but I left them behind. Instead, we picked some out for Nora, and we got her some new clothes as well. On the drive home, I began to think about boredom and inspiration. How writing was sometimes a process of trying to discover an inspiration, and then focus on it and to draw out its energy. I thought of the process of writing about my insecurities and how that related to it. It was still an inspiration to write about the insecurity, not even necessarily to solve it, though that was a positive result. Sometimes it was more interesting to describe the insecurity or the discomfort, and the byproduct was that I would overcome them. I'd like to believe that writing about them, trying to face them as much as possible, was a productive act, and that they didn't just ebb and flow on their own terms. Still, I could sense the side of me that was hopeless about it. To write about overcoming negativity, to write about my fascination with negativity, it seemed that writing about that, about the anxiety and the discomfort itself, I'll always want to write about those things. I seemed less interested in writing about lightness, unless it was through Miriam or Nora. To understand that whatever I think people will think, whatever impression I think they will have, that is only a projection of my own insecurity. What this all seemed like from the outside, to read it, I really had no idea. I found it difficult to tell at this point. Maybe one day, looking back, I would have a better sense of it. The duty that I feel when I write, what I expect from others that I read, is to write to a nauseating extent, to something that is a new maximum, that is unbearable, that it is dense and formidable, that there is nothing easy about it, that maybe it means nothing, to be unafraid if it means nothing, to move forward in the face of whatever it is. That is what I would want for anyone to do, to continue onwards, doing what is true to them. I can't know what it seems like from the outside, from family, friends, and strangers. An amount of magnitude that is not words on the page, but patience, to have faith in myself that I will sort it out. I'm reminded somehow of the concrete plant behind the Costco in Calgary. I went onto Google Maps and clicked around it, around the perimeter, the teal green of it, or whatever color it is, how the steam poured upward towards the bright sky. We pushed Nora in the stroller near the park. There was an odd mist in the air, like we were walking through a cloud. Miriam told me that she didn't get anything from the bird metaphor that I used at the end of the last chapter. It didn't mean anything to her. She said 2 chapters ago there was a line that hit, but that one didn't. She was critical of it. And here I am writing about a bird again. The one on the neighbor's roof, standing in the rain, looking outward. He hops, changing his angle of view, looking out for whatever worms are there. I'll continue to write banal sentences about our trips to the grocery store, about our baby daughter, the steps that she is taking, how she reaches her arm outward, how she says ma, 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 and da, 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 and ya, ya, ya. How she storms along the hardwood, yelling, running towards the back door to see what is happening outside. How she takes her books off the shelf one by one, flipping through the pages before tossing them aside. How she must stand on everything. She can take about 10 steps now, while holding on to something. The amount of joy her laughter brings to our house when we turn on the blender and she yells along with it, the morning orchestra. Yesterday my sister sent a photo of my dad. He was sitting in her backyard, wearing his Calgary Flames hat, her dog in his lap. I stood in the kitchen here in Toronto. I was cutting lettuce, standing near the table. To see him out of the house. For the past 6 months, he's seldom been out of the house, outside of going to the hospital for treatments or for a few walks around the neighborhood. To stab at the keys, to build with strength that I'm able to, whatever mundane and elusive thing, whatever joy, whatever discomfort, whatever gratuitous thing, to put it on the mantle, to see the shadow of it, the light of it, to continue onwards to another chapter, to the one I'm writing now. My sister messaged and let us know what happened at my dad's doctor's appointment. She said it went better than we thought. The tumor was hanging on, but its growth was minimal. He would start doing a 25% higher dose of chemo for the following 5 days. It seemed like that was about as good of news as we could have gotten, that the chemo was doing what it was supposed to. After dinner, we went on another walk. Nora seemed a bit fussier than usual. Miriam asked me what I worked on all day. I didn't talk about what I was writing, but more so the process of it, that I'd spent the morning rewriting what I'd edited the day before. I was trying to identify the ways in which I was hiding in the writing, trying to reveal enough of a flaw in my character towards some point or another. When we came home, I went into my office to write a few things down before the end of the day. Miriam came up the stairs holding Nora in front of her. "She's got a diaper," Miriam said. I stood in the doorway while she took Nora's jumper off. It's all the way up her back. Can you take this? Actually, it's all liquid. Can you take the stopper out of the tub?" "Should I run the water?" I asked. "Okay," she said. I went into the bathroom and tried to be useful. Miriam brought Nora in and sat her down in the tub. Nora cried until Miriam adjusted the temperature of the water. "Will you wipe down the change mat?" she asked me. I went back into the bedroom. I wiped down what was left on the mat, but the majority of the mess had collected into her jumper. I asked Miriam what the best way to clean the jumper would be. "Go wash it in the downstairs sink," she said. "In the kitchen?" I asked. "Yeah, the carburetor's there," she said. I didn't quite know why she mentioned the carburetor in that moment. I took the jumper downstairs and washed it in the sink, trying to get the stain out as best I could. I wrung out the jumper, soaking the yellow and pink stripes and the big heart emblem. "Should I put it through the washing machine?" I asked. "Her laundry's full, you can take it down," Miriam said. I went back into the bedroom and tried to find Nora's laundry hamper. "Do you know where her hamper is?" I asked Miriam. I put it in the hallway. As I brought the hamper downstairs, I could hear Nora say to Miriam, "Da, da, da." Miriam responded, saying, "Yes, Nori. Dada is downstairs, taking the laundry." I called my dad a bit later on. He said it was still nice there. They'd spent some time sitting outside, but it was still a bit windy. He talked about the work he was doing in the garage. Once the rest of the boxes were cleared out, he was thinking of moving the fridge away from the window. He told me that my mum was out with my sister. He was struggling a bit with his speech. He had a hard time saying Costco. There was something about the C sound on each end of the word that crossed his wires, but still, I knew what he was saying.